Hey, folks, Dukect here, back once again here on the Dukect Lounge. How are you doing this Friday evening here, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? I'd love that you are here live here with me, Dukect. If you're not listening live, you're also listening right here on YouTube and blip.com as well. And hopefully after this thing is up, you'll see my WrestleMania 28 review, which is going to be done tonight as well. So hopefully you will like to see that as well. Anyway, let's get on with the topics today. And remember, if you want to connect to me, Dukect, the phone number is 724-444-7444, and the call ID to connect to me at Dukect is 92417. Once again, the call ID is 92417. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Dukect Lounge, and there is a lot. I mean a lot to talk about. It is very interesting and very interesting type of situation. As we I just found out there's a lot of, and I do mean a lot of stories are coming out right now. And one of the things that's been very interesting is that the WWE has been busy actually. Busy with lawsuits and suspensions. So one most big suspension is Y2J Chris Jericho getting has been suspended indefinitely for 30 days because of his actions in the Brazilian tour. You see, while Chris Jericho was in Brazil and what have you, he did something really wrong. He did something really, really, really stupid. He was posing with the flag of the nation of Brazil, and they are they are proud people, and what have you. And you know what he did? He kicked the Brazilian flag, and that is very frowned upon in Brazil. In fact, it is so frowned upon that it is a arrestable offense of degrading the Brazilian flag or what have you. It is legitimately, he could have been locked up and taken into custody because of his actions. That, my friend, is first off, the WWE, to me, this is squarely on Chris Jericho. To me, for first things off, that was really stupid. He should have known. Chris Jericho should have known better. Chris Jericho should have known a lot better than to do anything to denigrate the flag. He should have read upon the rules about if he had a great stunt or what have you. He should have looked at it and said, "Yeah, it is wrong for me to do this." Exactly. He should have learned about this. I know maybe I came about on the fly, what have you, but at best, he should have looked and said, "Hey, this is a different country, different rules in the United States and Canada." When Shawn Michaels did it, or what have you, with the Canadian flag. But Chris Jericho should have known that in another country's culture, doing something denigrating a flag is really hurtful to him. And you know what? I honestly, it is just to me, really, really stupid. And Chris Jericho honestly should be punished by this. And to me, this is probably one of the reasons why this is one of the reasons why you should always check on, like, what are you doing, what type of thing you got to do, what type of things you can do with countries or what have you, like any type of crazy stuff that to get heat, or any type of heat, what have you. Just make sure that there's going to be any type of legal ramifications, what have you. This is something that you should, this thing could have been avoided and what have you. Because honestly, Jericho could have, said something bad about the team or say this, that, the other, do other things. But doing this really, really, really was stupid. This thing was really stupid. And also, he deserves to be suspended. And I can't wait. People who are trying to really defend this and everything else. If you're trying to defend Chris Jericho's actions on some civil right or what have you, no. This is really stupid. It is. This is country, is another country's culture, and you have to respect their culture. And this is, while some people look at that thing, denigrating someone's flag is, personally, I don't like someone denigrating my flag, as an American, what have you, burning it or, ripping it apart, doing this, that, and the other. It's really insensitive. I can get, some people would, have a law to say this, that, and the other. This is a flag, and you're spitting not only and destroying, not only the flag, but you're spitting on the culture, our country. You don't like our country, what have you. But, it is a bit really oversensitive, in fact, because, the flag, as much as, it is just a piece of cloth, and it's the principle behind the flag and everything that's more important. You can never destroy principles and what have you and everything else. But I can understand why, the Brazilian, even other countries look at that and say, this is our flag, this is our people and everything else, and you have to respect that. And people are saying, oh, everything else. And I love this. I love this one. Is that I know the official fan pro boards, and this one right here. Andrew is Good basically says this about the flag law, what have you. It says, if there was plenty of BS laws in Canada, I would definitely stand up against them. This is a bit of an extreme example, but what about Rosa Parks? Yeah, that's right, folks. This guy is basically comparing Rosa Parks to Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho to Rosa Parks. Wow. That is amazing. What Chris Jericho did was just trying to get cheap heat. And Rosa Parks did something, that actually revolutionized the nation. In fact, if you know the history, she wasn't really trying to make any type of statement. Her feet were just tired. It's just amazing. But I'll continue. But what about Rosa Parks? She rode on the bus where a white person should sit and got arrested for it. Am I xenophobic for saying that law was was BS and brought by a Brazilian? To them, it was entertainment. Boo that hill. But the BS law was almost enforced, and Jericho was forced to apologize. What about Martin Luther King? Oh, God. Martin Luther King. Seriously? This person is trying to compare people from the civil rights where this is actually something that has affected millions of people in this country and affected something that has positive things that we are still, we have our problems in the United States that, we're still growing. But without these two, I think the world would have, everything else would have been a lot worse. But to compare this to Chris Jericho, my God, this man needs he really, really needs to get some perspective. Wow. Anyway, he says, what about Martin Luther King going to jail for violating unjust laws? The Freedom Riders. Oh, goodness. It just keeps getting better. The Freedom Riders, black and white students stand against BS laws and segregation. Oh, my goodness. This is just so much stupid. Should he have apologized to the white cops? Oh, wow. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. I have to continue. I'm just continue this. Should he have apologize to the white cops wanting to throw him in an Alabama jail? Is it okay to stone women who get raped because of that's the punishment for an unjust law? F unjust laws, and this is one of them. Going to jail for kicking a flag, the fact people accept this blows my mind. What blows my mind is that you're comparing going to jail for kicking a flag is comparing them to stone women. Yeah, stoning women. Wow. That's so much of amazement that you have really, really need to. Angel is good. And I'm going to put this on my YouTube, and hopefully you see this thing, because I am not making any of this up, because this right here is the definition of bullshit. It is. And this is someone who is just taking these real serious things, and heck, there are real horrible unjust laws, and trust me, just laws that have affected and probably have have the truly horrible things in human rights and everything else, and unjust laws. But just kicking a flag and everything else, while it is a bit really oversensitive, what have you, it's not in the same league of Jim Crow laws or stoning women or what have you. That and all that jazz. That to me is just truly someone who is truly out of touch and has no real mental function. I don't know how this person uses a computer. This person really have no sense of context whatsoever. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take a break right here. I'm going to be right back right after this little ditty from OC Remix. I'll be right back right after this here on the Dukect Lounge. And we are back at Super Mario Brothers 2, Gypsy Jazz from OC Remix. And thank you once again for joining me here on the Dukect Lounge. And coming up as else, we'll also be talking about the Alex Shelly supposedly quitting Total Nonstop Action. And that's later on in the show. But Coming up next, we're going to be also be talking about another bit of WWE news. And as a referendum for the last little story, Chris Jericho is, suspended for 30 days. I think he'll probably do some stuff with Fozzy, then come back for SummerSlam with Randy Orton. Joy. I just don't care about that anymore. And I don't really care about Randy Orton and everything else anymore. Anyway, let's get back to the WWE. And there's actually someone suing the WWE, and guess who is? Total Nonstop Action. The TNA has filed a lawsuit against WWE for contract interference, unfair competition, and other issues stemming from insider information given to the WWE. And considering what TNA's plans and everything else is, I honestly think the insider information was used just to basically laugh at it. But anyway, let's get on with the whole thing. TNA filed a lawsuit yesterday. Report was given yesterday. This was from Mike Johnson from PW Insider, what have you. Right here. If I am wrong, I'll probably put this up, but this is something really interesting. It says TNA filed a lawsuit on May 23rd, 2002 in court in Nashville against WWE and former TNA and WWE office worker Brian Wittenstein for interference with existing contracts, conversation, breach of contract, civil conspiracy, unfair competition, and violation of the Tennessee Uniform Trade Secrets Act. They're also suing Wittenstein for breach of duty of loyalty. TNA lawsuit alleges that Wittenstein, who worked for TNA for 3 years before departing in 2011, provided World Wrestling Entertainment with insider information on contracts and other matters from his time working in the live events department. And now WWE is attempting to poach talent from the company with that information. Wittenstein was hired by WWE earlier this year and worked briefly under Michael Hayes as his assistant before being let go by WWE. According to the suit, WWE fired Wittenstein after he presented them with inside TNA information. However, the WWE did not inform TNA they had been providing that information. However, WWE did not inform TNA that they had been provided that information for nearly 3 weeks. TNA claims, Total Nonstop Action claims, that they were informed on May 7th, several days later. May 7th. Several days later, Ric Flair, who the company has been having issues with, as you know, and everything else. Everyone knows that the Ric Flair is going to be leaving TNA. Approached TNA trying to get out of his contract. In the lawsuit, TNA alleged that Flair was trying to get out of his contract in order to go to WWE, and since telling TNA he wanted out of his deal, has now appeared as booked at live events, including the Sacrifice pay-per-view. The last week, there has been rumors that Alex Shelly has turned down a new TNA contract, so now we'll get into later. And was looking to go to WWE as well. While these stories have been making the rounds, PWInside.com has not been able to independently confirm them. Shelly was not mentioned in the legal filing. An injunction was issued earlier today demanding that WWE and Wittenstein each return whatever confidential material Wittenstein retained from his time working for TNA, and they were sufficiently instructed not to destroy any of the material. This is really interesting. And when you hear this, this is something really is, because a lot of people, my thoughts are about this is that TNA, I'm going to be honest with you, if this is true, that they're just inside information, knowing contracts and everything else are up, but now you have WWE poking around. I mean, you heard Matt Morgan, supposedly, he's looking like he's going to get out of his deal this year. Ric Flair looks like he's going to try to get out of his deal. I think he probably looked at what the WWE and his whole, WrestleMania thing, I think the grass was greener. I think he might jump. And honestly, I don't know what WWE can do with Ric Flair. I have no idea. But anyway, I think personally, I think he should just go up there and pay off his debts, what have you. I hope one day he can pay off all of his debts and all that stuff and that whole thing and everything else. I think, TNA might. I mean, if this is all true, they should get some financial, financial compensation as well, because that is really, very, underhanded and what have you, and that's really underhanded. I mean, of course, TNA could correct this, one thing by, treating their workers better, actually giving them storylines and making them, feel, mad, making them seem more likable. No, not like, but more in the wrestling, doing more in the Impact stuff, showing, Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson, and all those guys getting title shots every 5-10 minutes or what have you. Maybe if they did that, maybe some of those guys wouldn't be leaving. But honestly, it is something really. A lot of people have said that TNA should really do. This is something. I bet some people said that TNA is all their fault, what have you. What have you. But if it is true, if the WWE did have this insider information and everything else, and what have you, they should get some compensation. But anyway, here's the question: if they know if WWE knows these like their hot prospects, say Matt Morgan, Alex Shelly, or Anthony, whoever is in TNA right now. James Storm, Baru, all these other guys. They know when they're going to be released. And they get back to the information. Are they going to sign more contracts? Because they already know. They already know when their contract's up. I mean, what else is there they can do besides getting financial compensation? I have no idea what you're going to else put up there. I don't know how you're going to do anything else with the WWE and what have you. Because honestly, this seems like to me something. I don't know how you're going to really stop. I mean, I don't know how you can really do anything else. I hope that hopefully this thing gets resolved and the TNA does get their things in order and what have you, and everything else. But yeah, WWE is definitely in the wrong here, and hopefully they get the information back. And I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to re-sign a lot of these guys? Are they going to force them not to quit? Are they going to have like a 90 days clause? Are they going to forbid them to go to WWE or what have you? I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think it's going to be anything else soon. And there's a lot of things in this law. There's going to be a lot of things. But just I just hope that this thing does not get as messy, and hopefully TNA gets the information back and also get some financial compensation, because I think that's probably the only thing that TNA can absolutely get is financial compensation. Anyway, I'm going to take another little break here, and I'll be right back. And this is going to be listening to Donkey Kong, Monsoon, and Concrete from OC Remix. We'll be right back here on the Dukect Lounge. And this nice afternoon here. It is the sun is setting here in the DMV, that is DC, Maryland, Virginia. And hopefully you're listening to me live in this nice long little podcast. Anyway, what we also be talking now about is Alex Shelly. Alex Shelly, well, it looks like supposedly that he has been looks like he's going to be quitting Total Nonstop Action. Alex Shelly, who I always liked Alex Shelly. To me, I always wish someone like him, I mean, while he did some great stuff with the Monster Machine Guns, I always liked Alex Shelly a little bit more than Chris Sabin. I think Shelly was always, to me, one of the most charismatic and more interesting wrestlers in Total Nonstop Action. To me, he was like, honestly, he was like, I'm going to say that, and hopefully I'm not going to piss a lot of people off, but then again, this is my opinion. He always reminded me of The Miz, but he was like The Miz, but a better wrestler. And what I get to is that as The Miz can just get into you, he can really get the crowd against him, which Alex Shelly can. Alex Shelly can get the crowd against him, all people to cheer for, what have you. He has that charisma, that likability, that insecure people want to see him like win or succeed or fail, what have you. That is, for the most part, Alex Shelly. But I don't say about Miz. Miz actually can go in the ring. But Alex Shelly as a wrestler is so much so much better. And not just a high flyer, no. He is, to me, better as a technical wrestler, good old-fashioned technical skills and everything else. And supposedly he is going to be leaving Total Nonstop Action and going to WWE. But supposedly his deal is he's been contacted by WWE officials. A deal has not been reached yet, He's looking for work supposedly in Japan and Dragon Gate USA or what have you. I would like to see him in Dragon Gate USA and everything else. But honestly, I really am sorry for Alex Shelly. Just to me, it's just a huge loss for TNA. Because this is someone who really, really could have been something of a focal point. As great in the tag teams, he could have been a great X-Men champion. I think he could have been a great world champion, to be honest. He is young, he's good on the mic, and a good worker, and yet he never rose above, and that really bothers me. Apparently, that company rather focused more on Jeff Hardy than someone like Alex Shelly, who, at least in Alex Shelly's case, he actually, doesn't do drugs and actually, wrestles a 1-minute match or what have you. I'm sorry. It just bothers me. And it just bothers me when you have good talent, and this is the same thing that happened to WCW. This is the same thing that happened. You have good young talent being wasted. We've seen it with Jay Lethal. He's gone. You have Xavier Woods, a.k.a. I think Consequences Creed. Not good. Gone. Alex Shelly, gone. I think Shaman's going to be gone, too. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Aries is going to leave after, I know he's re-signed and everything else. He's re-signed. Everything was good. Trust me. Austin Aries will probably get released in 2 or 3 years from now for some BS reason. Trust me, this company can't be, this company will screw up, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I'm just, I'm still surprised Storm and Rude has gotten this much good or everything else. And, Rude getting supposedly the longest title reign, even though Jeff Jarrett still has that, crown because, he held the title, the NWA title for 1,000 years and everything else. But, it's just frustrating. And that's why I see TNA. It's just frustrating. And wasted potential. You know what TNA is to me? TNA is wasted potential. Every time they have something interesting, every time they have something that you, me, everyone's look happy for, they just squander it. And I said this before, TNA, my favorite pay-per-view was TNA against All Out 2006, and I thought this company was going to be really good. Christian won the title. I said, yeah, this guy's going to be great. They're going to focus everything else. You got these stars like Marty Brown. You got all this other stuff. You got all these great potential. Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Chris Jericho. I thought these guys were going to be great, and now they're just wasted. I'm just AJ Styles should be the John Cena of TNA, guy who was always on the cusp of the main event and everything else, always there. That sort of thing. Instead of being this joke of a character in this storyline or what have you. I don't know how good it is and everything else. It's going to end really stupid. It is. It's frustrating. And this is why I really hope. Part of me wishes he doesn't go to WWE or TNA, goes to maybe, Ring of Honor, goes to Dragon Gate, goes to Shikara or something. At least a company like that actually, I would love for him to go back to Ring of Honor and chase out TV or maybe at the world title run or what have you. I mean, personally, I wish, Ring of Honor isn't perfect, especially if it's, online pay-per-views and such, but, at least they have effort, and at least they really do seem to actually get most of it right. They get most of the things right or what have you, and everything else. And I really hope that one day that Ring of Honor gets that number 2 promotion slot. Because I know it's not going to happen today or tomorrow, but I would love to have that because a company like this, TNA, should not have that number 1. I'm sorry to say this, and I don't want to be a person who just bashes TNA and say TNA sucks and it was going to be good. It was never good. No. TNA was good, and it has some golden moments. I mean, for example, the Austin Aries versus Billy Ray match. I mean, that was really good. And what they do with Bobby Roode and hopefully with James Storm when he comes back, I think that's going to be good as well. But when you see something when you see stupidity on and on. Like, for example, the EY and ODB went into championships. The TV title being completely wasted on D. I mean, Devon's a good tie, but good champion. But honestly, Robbie E, who was just basically so, it's like he's tried so hard to being Zack Ryder. I mean, he's like the heel version of Zack Ryder, but without any charisma, any type of. He just comes off as just an annoying prat, and just. I just couldn't stand. Every time I see him, I just turn the channel. Like, I don't want to see him on my screen. I'm like, I don't care about you. I don't care about Robbie T. I mean, Robbie T and Robbie E. It's funny because I actually did like Rob Terry. I thought he had a pretty good, what was that title called? Global title belt match with Orlando Jordan. I think he has potential. Heck, I said he's so better than John Cena. Or what have you. I think he has some potential. But they drove him to the point that I don't care. I really don't care. And I truly wish that TNA will eventually get it, but I don't think they are going to get it. I just don't think they ever are going to get it because they're just going to keep doing the same old crap over and over until maybe I finally get out of business or what have you. Anyway, that's my show for this evening. I hope that you liked it. Anyway, that's all I have to say. This is Gypsy T here. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Later. See y'all when I see y'all. Later.